Legal counsel regarding a water service agreement with Draper Estates.
No action.
We will now begin the regular council meeting. Sandra, please note that all of our council members are here with the exception of Don Barthlow. We have city manager, yourself, our police chief, Aaron, our city attorney, IT, we've got Roy, we've got Eric, and I'm sorry, Craig Johnson with ESD1 in attendance, and special guest that will be giving a presentation tonight. If you would, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the U.S. and the Texas flags.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. All right, citizen comments. In accordance with the Open Meetings Act, council is prohibited from acting or discussing other than factual responses to specific questions, any items not on the agenda. As I do not see any member of the community in attendance tonight, I'm going to assume we have no comments. So we're going to skip on down to items of community interest. Pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.0415, the City Council may report on any of the following items. A, expression of thanks, gratitude, and condolences. B, information regarding holiday schedules. C, recognition of individuals. D, reminders regarding City Council events. E, reminders regarding community events. And F, health and safety announcements. With that, the only thing I have is there will not be a regularly scheduled meeting of the City Council on July 4th as we are having a celebration. I challenge all of y'all to come out and outrun me in the 5K race at 7 o'clock in the morning on July 4th.
That won't happen.
Well, you'd be surprised. I thought that last year and I got beat by quite a few people. We have the parade, and then we have the event starting at noon
12 o'clock?
with
Yes, sir.
music. Our theme is back to the 80s. God, I wish I could be there. I have to go to work at the fire station, so I cannot attend the
I
80s.
thought you were talking about the 80s, like you wanted to go back into the 80s.
Oh, I've been there. So anyway, no council meeting on July 4th. The next regularly scheduled council meeting will be on July 18th, 2019. Comments, questions? I know we have
Mr.
several
Mayor?
people that worked on Lago Fest.
Yes, I would like to thank a whole group of people. This last Sunday, on Father's Day, we had our Lago Fest. It was well attended, good music, a lot of good food, but it only happened because of a large group of people. That group includes our city employees, came out, put out generators, wiring, lighting, worked all over the grounds. Meredith, our events coordinator, and her husband, Danny, and his police force, the sheriff's department, highway patrol, fire department, ESD, and a whole mess of volunteers. I was extremely pleased with the number of our citizens that came out, helped us out, and made it a good event this year. So thank you to all of you. You are very appreciated. And hopefully next year we won't have a flood in the park and we can have it on the first date we come up with and have a few more people. But to all of those that made this a successful event, thank you. And you are appreciated.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so looking forward, I'm just gonna make a prediction. Something will go wrong next year.
It seems to every year.
'Cause last year it was the generator. This year it was the weather. I'm just throwing it out there.
We'll keep it going.
There had been discussion about building a wall around the park so that we don't have to worry about flooding next year, but I don't think that's going to happen.
All right, thank you. Anything else?
I have something, Mayor. We're not going to have a council meeting on July 4th, but I'd like everyone to know that I got a note from Scenic Cities saying that the preliminary results of the applications for Scenic City, the results will be posted on June 28th. So that'll be next week on Friday. And then the actual final results of the application results will be the week of the 15th of July. So the next time that we meet, we'll have some idea of how we came out with our Scenic Cities
But
application.
we will not know until the 28th how our application is.
Right, the 28th of this month.
Right.
Yep. And then we have the 10-day period when we can address any of the issues that might have caused us to not have the biggest score that we could possibly have. And so we'll have that 10-day period when we can say, okay, these are some things that we failed to point out, but here they are, so we need more points. So the more points you get, the higher the acknowledgement. That's
Thank
it.
you. Anyone else? I do need to make an announcement. Today is my wife's birthday.
Oh.
So if she's watching on YouTube, which I'm certain she is not. I went and bought her a deck of cards and a bag of flour. That way I can tell her I gave her some cards and flour for her birthday.
We won't celebrate her birthday next year. He won't be married to her at that point, so.
Anyway, happy birthday, dear. Anyway, thank you. All right, so we'll go into item number 3, which is a presentation. With us tonight is Ms. Salfini with Utility Service Partner Incorporation.
Sorry, pass these out for you quickly here.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And for those of you watching on YouTube, you will note that a month or so ago, 2 months ago, I had put something out about a home service insurance program. Just kind of getting your feedback, whether this would be something you would be interested in. The feedback that I got from you via social media was positive, so I have asked Ms. Alfini to come in and actually do a presentation tonight so that y'all can see this, and that we will consider this in July.
Perfect. Well, first, I'd like to thank you all for having me. I appreciate your time tonight. Again, my name is Emily Zalfini. I represent Utility Service Partners, which is a home serve company. I will actually be discussing some home serve options or home serve branded options that provide a little additional protection tonight. But first, I'd like to talk a little bit about the company. We've been in this business for about 16 years now. We've been working with the NLC since 2010. And actually, both in 2013 as well as last year in 2018, we won the Torch Award for Marketplace Ethics. So obviously, that's something we're very, very proud of, and we're always trying to work as hard as we can to maintain some pretty high ethical standards. But what the program's designed to try and do is to try and help address some of the public policy issues related to aging underground utility infrastructure, which is obviously starting to plague a lot of the communities across the country. So we know that for the most part, communities are always doing what you can to upgrade and maintain all kinds of public infrastructure, but on the homeowner side, there's not much you can do. So that's really the reason why the NLC started looking at these sorts of programs, because they wanted to make sure that something would be available to, every city, every town, everybody across the country. So they went ahead, did their research to hopefully make it easier on you all, and we were the company they chose to work with. Now, what we actually do is we partner with the city. That allows us to make the voluntary program available for your residents. Then our goal, number one, is to try and help educate homeowners just on the fact that they're actually responsible for their water and sewer lines on their property. And then at the same time, we offer the option of getting protection on those lines if they want it. So it's really just for the portion where the city or utility is not responsible and standard homeowners insurance policies usually just don't cover. We try to bridge the gap to give people an option if they want it. It is done with a turnkey approach, so we handle all the aspects of the program ourselves, from the marketing, billing, claims, customer service, all of that. And there's no cost whatsoever to the city. In fact, we actually offer a small incremental revenue based on participation. So just for me personally, one of the things that I think is most beneficial about this program is it really does kind of help to raise an awareness. There's usually a pretty similar story in most areas, and when a homeowner does have an issue with their water or sewer line, they'll call the city, you send somebody out, and a lot of the time you find the issues on their side, and you just can't really do much to help in that case. We also find, and I'm sure a lot of you are well aware too, that a lot of homeowners don't really know or don't really understand that they're responsible for those lines. And I do always admit to everyone that I fell into that category myself in a way. Prior to working for this company, I had owned my home for about 10 years, and I did have an idea that I was responsible for the lines, but I did not know which portion. And honestly, I thought my homeowner's insurance just kind of covered that. So I can only imagine if I'd found out because I had a major issue. Then you have to do a little research, find a contractor, obviously pay everything out of pocket. So I kind of like to think of this almost like a free public awareness campaign for the city, because what we'd be doing is sending out a letter to each resident, just letting them know which portion of their lines they are actually responsible for, and then letting them know that the city's working with us to offer them a solution if they want it. Obviously, if they enroll, we can offer them a little peace of mind. Essentially, for a few dollars a month, they would be transferring the risk of the lines to us. And if they had any issue, whether it's a broken, cracked, leaky pipe, tree root penetration, issue with a grinder pump, they would just give us a call. We have US-based call centers that are available 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year, and we work with local area contractors for repairs. So that's kind of another key aspect of the program, is we try to do our best to only use those local area contractors. We do it for a few reasons. One, we do want to try to keep the money within your community as best we can, but also we expect that local contractors should be well aware of codes or requirements or anything that might be unique in the area. So we expect them to get the job done up to your standards as well as ours. Now, when it comes to the selection of the contractors, we do let our municipal partners be as involved or uninvolved in that as you would like. Some provide just a list of contractors who work within the area. Some let us know who has a great or maybe not so great reputation, but none of that's actually required. No matter what, we go through our own vetting procedures. That includes making sure that they have the proper amount of insurance, that they are licensed, bonded, they have no open complaints with the BBB. We check to make sure they have access to the proper equipment. And then also we run background checks and drug screenings. So really, we just try to do everything we can to make sure that homeowners should feel comfortable having the contractor come to their home. And then as for the contractors, they are not paying us a fee or anything like that to join our network. And we don't even tell them what they can charge. They can still charge their standard rates. So then as far as your homeowners are concerned, they would have 3 completely separate, completely voluntary options for protection. So the first is for the external sewer line. For that, we would offer up to $10,000 of protection per year. That does include protection for grinder pumps, repair or replacement, as well as $1,000 of additional restoration, which would be to replace something like a tree or a shrub in a yard, as well as $1,250 for housing if they would have to go to a hotel or something like that while the work's being done, and also $500 for animal housing reimbursement. Now with this program, there's no deductible, no service fee, and no forms or paperwork to fill out. The next option is the external water line protection. Now this one is a little different. For this, we offer up to $10,000 of protection per incident. For this, there are no service fees, no deductibles, and actually no annual or lifetime limits, as well as no forms or paperwork for the homeowner to fill out. The third really just picks up where those 2 leave off, and for that, that would be the in-home plumbing. For that, we offer up to $2,500 of protection per incident. It is limited to 2 claims a year, so up to $5,000 a year. That's for any water, sewer, or drain line inside the actual home after the point of entry, including a line that might be embedded under a slab or a basement floor, or even something simple like a clogged toilet. And again, no service fees, no deductibles, no forms or paperwork for the homeowner to fill out. When this was put together, they didn't want, a $75 service fee to stop somebody from giving us a call. And of course, people tend to be a lot more proactive when they don't have to search for a contractor or pay a ton of money out of their own pocket. I should mention that the majority of this program is not a reimbursement program. Generally, what would happen is if someone calls to file a claim with us, we find them a contractor. We like to have the contractor in touch with them within the hour, on site within 24 hours, and then we pay the contractors directly. So usually no money is exchanging hands between the homeowner and the contractor. So one of the other features of this program that I did mention in the beginning is the revenue that we offer to the city. The way that that works is the city would be eligible for 10% of the total revenue that we have from any active warranty premiums. Of course, we don't tell you what to do with the revenue. We do pay it out once a year in the form of a royalty in January. But most of our partners that take it put it back towards the community in one way or another, whether it's, public infrastructure upgrades. We've seen it go towards parks. I don't know how much any of those that I drove around and looked at today need any upgrades, but I'm sure you could find something to do with it. So one of the big questions that I always anticipate with this program is, how do we market? We really only market by direct mail. So there's no door-to-door, no telemarketing. We don't even bombard people with a ton of mail. We have a maximum of 3 mail campaigns per year. Each campaign consists of 2 separate mailings. So an initial letter would go out, and then 2 to 4 weeks later, a second, almost identical reminder letter goes out. Usually the only difference between the two is that the reminder letter says something like, "Reminder, please disregard if you've already enrolled," along the top in bold. We try to keep them formatted to be as educational or informational as we can. Again, they just start off letting the homeowner know which part of their line they are responsible for, and then letting them know that their city's working with us to help give them an option if they want it for protection. We make it very, very clear that this is voluntary, not mandatory, and very, very clear that it's coming from an outside company and not from the city itself. So we direct them to contact us with any questions, concerns, interests, whatever it might be. So what really makes this program available is the very first mailing that goes out. Once that goes out, homeowners can enroll into any combination of the 3 options that they choose at any time throughout the year. They can do it in one of 3 ways. So they can mail back the enrollment form on the letter. Most of the time, the letter only talks about 1 or maybe 2 options to avoid confusion. But they can go onto our website or call into our call center, and all 3 options are always available those ways and can be explained a little better.
What is the difference in cost in the 3 options that you have?
Sure. So the external water line protection is $5.99 per month. The external sewer line protection is $9.99 per month. And then the in-home plumbing is $11.99 per month.
Does the third option include the other 2?
No, unfortunately. They're all separate.
Is there how do you coordinate benefits if there is a slab? Because most houses have a few $1,000s.
Mm-hmm.
Do you pay regardless of what the insurance company pays, or?
So if it's something that the insurance company covers, generally we would not. But if it's, are you talking about a slab beneath a home?
Yeah, and most of the homes we're building are all slab. So if
We
have
would
a-
cover technically any lines that are embedded under that slab for the in-home plumbing product.
But most homeowners' policies have something in there.
Okay.
$5,000 usually. So my question is a coordination of benefits. Who pays first? Do you pay all together?
Generally, the homeowners would pay first, but we don't really, to be honest, we don't really police that. In a lot of areas, that's not something that's included in homeowners' insurance policies. So we would offer the full $2,500 of coverage for that
And you
incident.
can join at any time.
Yep, at any time.
So on the first one, where it's up to $10,000 coverage per year, if I wanted the complete package, it would be $25 a month,
Right around 27, but
around
yeah.
27?
Yeah.
And then are the other packages different?
So they're all
in
separate.
cost? Like the second one, it's just up to 10,000 coverage per repair incident.
Yes.
Why the 3 different coverages?
I really wish I could tell you that, but someone much higher up than me made those decisions.
Okay.
I know that The in-home plumbing tends to be the most utilized, and it's our newest product, and we have the least people enroll into it. So that's kind of the reason why the pricing and the coverage disparity there. And the sewer line tends to be utilized a lot more than the water line also.
Gotcha.
And for Lago Vista in particular, we did add in the grinder pump coverage, which changed the pricing and things a little bit as well.
Okay.
Can I ask a real quick question? How many other cities locally are involved with
We
you?
actually have 40.
Paid rate.
And I'll show you that right there. There's our full customer list. And I do want to mention, not to cut anyone off, but before I get to too many questions and forget, I want to make sure I tell you what the city's part in the partnership is, because what we'd be asking of from you in this partnership is two things. So first, we ask for the use of either city logo or just the name of the city on our marketing material. That's part of what helps us to get a higher response rate. It's how we're able to offer the best amount of protection we can at the lowest pricing we can. Also helps us to get a much stronger local area contractor network. The second thing we ask of from you would be that before each and every mail campaign, we will send the marketing material to you for your review and approval, just via email. We'd ask that you look it over. If you have any issues with the messaging, we will work with you on it. And then once we receive an approval from the city, we give you a mail date, so you know right around the time it's going to go out in the mail. If we do not receive an approval from you, and again, this goes for each campaign, we just do not mail anything. We just basically want to make sure that, you know, our partners know we have your best interests and your residents' best interests at heart. And we think we maintain that by keeping you involved in the messaging, as well as just keeping some transparency within the program. So anytime you needed information as far as who's enrolled, I'm sorry, not who's enrolled, but how many people have enrolled, claims that have been filed, what we've paid, contractors we work with, customer service satisfaction surveys, any of that we can provide to you. And you may have seen on the previous slide, we have over 650 partners currently in the US. That does include the 40 that were listed there in Texas.
Let me make sure I understand what
Yes.
the question and the answer. Fundamentally, for 10%, you get to say where you're a partner with us.
Correct.
What that effectively means, you're putting your logo or our logo on your marketing material about the same way you've done the NLCs, correct?
Not nearly as much as that, but basically what it would be is on our marketing, there's a few pieces. There's a letter and then an envelope. So we'd put, in the case of Lago Vista, I believe that you have the word Texas in your city logo, which there are regulations within the state of Texas that we are not actually allowed to use any city logo that has the word or an image of the state of Texas in it. So in this case, what we would most likely do is just use a text box that either said City of Lago Vista or
It's Vista, but go ahead.
Vista, I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
Or to the residents of, or something along those lines. So it wouldn't be as strongly as the NLC logo is everywhere.
Well, it's a sailboat, essentially.
What's that behind
And-
us?
Yeah. Or is it? Is
That's
it
the seal, and
sailboat
that's
or-
what would have Texas on it.
Yeah,
That's the
That's the
seal,
only
and that's
thing
where we'd have
we
to
have
remove Texas from it, but we could do that. It's not
yeah.
an issue.
Yeah, it's not the sailboat, yeah. Now, you're not the only company that's in this business.
That is correct.
Thanks. Okay,
Right. Most other companies, though, do not work directly with the cities.
I understand.
Yeah.
And are you able to provide us anything that we could put on our website to inform citizens?
Yep, we're happy to provide anything to put on your website, web banner, press release. We actually also have started in our initial letter, including kind of a cover letter that, again, the top, I believe, says an important message to the residents, and just basically explains the relationship between the city and our company, explaining again that we're separate, but that the city thought it was important enough to just make the residents aware of these, the responsibility, and then also provide an option for them if they want it.
How long have you been in business?
For about 16 years now.
Okay.
So questions on the coverages, on the freshwater line, you have a statement that says no lifetime limits.
Correct.
Okay, now, on your sewer line and on your interior plumbing, you have annual amounts, but you don't reference anything to lifetime. Is there lifetime limits on those two?
That's actually a good question. There are not actual lifetime limits, but it would be an annual limit. Once the term would renew over the year, it would start over.
Got it.
Sir, if I may put you on the spot, I believe the city that you came to us from had a program similar to this. I don't know if it was with this company or not, but I know you have some experience with programs like this. Can
Yeah.
you share your thoughts on it?
Mayor, in the previous city in a different state, we did exactly this, recommended through National League of Cities. Same type of program, company comes in, partners with us, and we had really good response from our citizens to sign up to the program. A lot of citizens, it takes the second or third mailing to come through, but as Councilor Collins had said, you have that opportunity to sign up at any point. And so that's a really big, it's an attractive incentive for people to say, you know, now's the time. I've experienced something, so I can get into the program. One of the things that was mentioned is the marketing program. If we were to do this, we would get ahead of it and publicize the relationship early on. I think that's one of the things that we learned in our experiences. So we would come out and say that Lago Vista and Utility Service are partnering, put it out as many times as we can and before they start their mailing, because what people are going to do is they're going to start calling us, hey, do you know these people are using your logo? So if we can get ahead of it, it's effective. But I think with the grinder pumps here, I think that's one of the things the mayor had talked about before. The grinder pumps are going to be a big incentive for people to jump into the program. And the beautiful thing is, if I'm correct, there's not a minimum number of people to come into the system
Correct.
for you guys to start. So if out of 8,046 citizens and 3,200 households, if 7 decide they want to do it, 7 people have this service, and that's just a benefit. And then maybe that grows, maybe it doesn't grow, but
Exactly.
at this point, it's something that offers something that's a complete value to the homeowner, that it's just another layer of insurance. So,
All right, and Josh touched on what really attracted me, and when I contacted Emily and made sure this was an option, is I had, over the last few years, not only residential customers, but plumbing companies wanting the city to put something in place for the grinder pumps, because that seems to be, in our area anyway, the biggest issue is when these grinder pumps go out and they had no way to cover the expense on their grinder pumps. And even the, like I say, even the plumbing companies were like, well, we can't offer anything to the citizens, but maybe you as a citizen, as a city, could actually go in, maybe use your crews and put in a grinder pump and then add that onto their water bill and stuff like that. I'm like, well, no, that's not something we can do. But then this program came around and I was like, hey, this is what people have been asking for, so.
I think we
That's
all know
what-
somebody that's had to put one in.
And you cover both sewer and septic
Yes,
and water and well lines.
correct.
That's pretty nice.
I did some real quick figuring, and I think if I got the individual rates correct, it's $28 a month, basically.
Yeah, it's $27.97, I think is what I
$28.
made the
yeah,
quick
rough-
math
roughly
before I came in.
speaking. So multiply it out by 12 for a year, turns out to be $336.
Right.
Which seems like a reasonable amount of money to pay for, you know, the comfort and knowing that a problem would be
Yep.
resolved
Right.
quickly and easily for someone. So it
Well,
seems like it'd be a good sale.
And beyond that, you don't have to take all three.
Exactly.
You can take just the sewer, you can take just the water line, or you can take just the interior, or you can do 2 of the 3, or you can take all 3. So $28 is the max.
Yeah, it has flexibility to it.
But you don't know what the other company's rates are either.
No, we do not at this time, no.
There
So
may
it's
not be other
336 for
companies
this
here.
kind of coverage,
Yeah.
about what you could get with another company, or less, or it's better or less.
Yeah,
We
one
know
of the
about
things.
this company, and we don't know that any others exist in our area that. would
One of the things that's a challenge, Mayor, for us is, what we'll do is, if we're going to consider this with council at the next meeting, we can call the League of Cities and just ask them who else is in the region, and they'll provide us information, because we've done this before. As Emily just said, this is the first company that's approached Lago Vista about being included in their program. More than likely, there aren't any others that serve the area. If you notice when she's got the list behind her, none of those 40 Texas partners are in our region.
Kyle,
Yeah,
City of Kyle.
Okay.
sure, that's our
Day
region.
trip.
I'm going out Round Rock, Marble Falls, and they didn't
They're
fit
not
into
the
there,
hill
so.
country, you're right.
But anyway, so if that's the closest, however close that is, there's a reason why no one else is on there. It's a new section. And I will add that the interior system is not something that I'm familiar with, because as Emily pointed out, it's brand new. When they started it, one of the things was, well, this only goes for the outside. How do we get insurance for the inside? And the answers at that point were, I guess you find someone else to offer you that service. So it's a great amenity to add the exterior service, or the interior service, because before it was just the exterior, so.
I think your Texas policies usually cover something.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Where are you out of? 7724?
Actually Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Gotcha.
Oh,
Yeah.
welcome.
Thank you. I love your son, not so much the heat today, but it's been raining every day in Pittsburgh, so I'll take the heat.
Move to Texas.
I would love to. My husband won't do it.
And is everything handled from Pittsburgh?
So our main office is right outside of
In
Pittsburgh,
Pittsburgh.
yeah, in Canonsburg. We also have a second office in Norwalk, and then our main call center is in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Okay, gotcha.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, any
That
other
it with the
questions?
questions and comments? All right.
Go to the grinder, Paul.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
You're very welcome, and
Thank
thank
you.
you all for having me again. And I apologize, but I'm going to sneak away. I didn't get to celebrate Father's Day with my stepdad last week, so we're doing it this weekend in Maryland. So.
All right.
But thank you again for having me.
Have a nice
Thank
trip.
you.
Thank you.
And I know you drove around a little bit prior to coming to the meeting, but on your way out, be careful. We have lots of deer, and it's fawn season. Just be careful.
That I'm used to from Pittsburgh. Thank you again. Have a good night.
Thank you.
All right, we will proceed to, what do I do with my paper? There it is. Action item, no, public hearing and possible action number 4. Lago Vista City Council is holding a public hearing and consider possible action on ordinance number 19-06-20-01, an ordinance of the City Council of Lago Vista, Texas, amending Section 11.60 subsection C1 of Chapter 14, the zoning ordinance regarding standards and requirements for ridge poles to be used in the evaluation of special exceptions to height standard applications, providing for related matters, and the public hearing is already open, so we'll go to staff presentation.
Yes, sir. For those of you who had the pleasure to attend a planning commission meeting over the last couple of years, you would know that the typical ridge pole is disappointing, to say the very least. That it's up. It's probably more common for us to get a poor effort than one that's actually sufficient. It has been a source of contention. When we amended the ordinance when I first got here, we did some things that tightened it up a little bit. We now reject. Actually, when I got here, it was often that the ridge poles were never erected by the time the public hearing was there. We even had that problem. We eliminated that by simply inspecting them before we came. even though it's a source of contention, the long and the short of it is we've kind of settled on three things in a number of discussions with the Planning Commission. That the idea is to give them the comfort level where they can say, okay, we know we're looking at an accurate ridgepole or not. We've taken provisions that the staff can call out the worst ones by defining what the level of verticality that's required before we'll even put it on an agenda. But one of the big things that we've tried to do really is not punish the innocent by increasing the cost of the application for everybody and simply put the Planning Commission in a position to judge the accuracy of the poll and to simply defer those who are not making a sincere effort and ask them to correct it before they're allowed to make the evaluation. Part of that the staff intends to do is simply create a packet that helps them as much as possible, shows them pictures on ridge poles that are successful, gives them hints on how to use bracing to make sure that it stays that way over the course of the time that's required. And the ordinance itself, in addition to that sort of standard, if you will, of verticality that we'll enforce before we even put it on the agenda, simply creates a number of reference points so that when the commissioners go out there and look at a poll, they can more accurately say this one these marks are not accurate. And they'll know better and have the confidence then at the public hearing to defer it when it's appropriate.
Questions, comments? Right, public hearing is open. Is there anybody in the audience to?
Rich?
Sir. You can hold it.
My name is Richard Brown. I live on 4059 Outpost Trace. I also serve on the Planning and Zoning Commission. And I really think that this is a very important thing to get done. There's a lot of misunderstanding that exists in the community on the part of neighbors, on the part of builders, commission members, perhaps even the council, because as long as this has remained haphazard as it has in the past, you get uneven enforcement because commission members and perhaps council members go out to the field, look at it, and say, gee, I wonder what this guy's trying to say. And the important thing, in addition to the commission members being able to understand it, is that it helps the builders understand what we're asking for. It's important for everybody to have a clear understanding of what's going on. And sometimes the builders don't understand, and then when they get there in front of the commission and they found out they did it wrong, and we say, I'm sorry, but it's not acceptable. We don't know what you're trying to tell us. You'll have to come back in another month, or sometimes longer, depending on how soon they can get a new ridge pole installed and how soon we can get the information posted by advertising and get it on a future agenda. Sometimes it's even longer. And some of the builders give us this look like, oh my God, are you serious? Well, yes, we are serious. It's important. It's important to the neighbors around there so that they can understand what's going on when they see it, so that they can come into the commission when we hold our meetings and they can get clear answers from us. Thanks. That's it.
Thanks, Rich.
Looking at this, I believe this is definitely a policy that
Most definitely.
increases not only efficiency, but effectiveness as well.
Yes. I think he covered it quite well. It will help the Planning and Zoning Commission. And it will make the builders step up to the plate and put the right ridge pole in. I like the 5-degree angle part of it. And I like you taking the picture. Go ahead.
It's very important from the staff perspective to leave the discretion where it belongs. The discretion belongs to the planning commission, not the staff.
Right.
So with those kind of standards, it's very easy for us to use Photoshop when we get the pictures and determine whether it meets the criteria or not.
Or not.
It's- That's where the staff wants to be.
Mr. Mayor, are we at a point where we can make a motion? Or?
Not quite yet. I just want to make sure no one else from the audience would like to speak. And if not, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing at 7:12 PM. And now we're at council discussion and action.
Just anybody on council? I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance number 19-06-20-01, an ordinance of the City Council of Lago Vista, Texas, amending section 11.60, subsection C1 of chapter 14 regarding the standards and requirements for ridge poles.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Hearing none, motion carries unanimous. All right, we will go action items. Number 5, discussion and consideration of resolution number 19-1803. A resolution granting the request for annexation of the public road easement, excuse me, and authorizing staff to set dates, times, and place for public hearings on the proposed annexation of the public road easement by request of Travis County, Texas, within the city of Lago Vista, Texas, and authorizing and directing the city secretary to publish notice of such public hearing.
Mayor, this item has been discussed for a little bit of time by the council and by the potential developer of Nature's Point. What this item is, this is basically a sister item with the next agenda item. This public road easement was officially de-annexed by the county from county property with the intention that then the city would annex it into city property. So this would be the public easement property is what would be considered for an annexation. The resolution in front of the council now is to begin this process, get the dates going, and get us moving forward. If council approves this resolution at any point, what we will do is send out the letters to the property owners involved, probably do the same kind of thing that the mayor has mentioned before, and hand deliver these items to ensure delivery to front doors so that we can have we can make sure that the property owners are aware of what's going on. I state this because this property was discussed previously in the city, not by this council, but by previous council. We want to make sure we get the information out.
And this is just a public road easement. It does not involve real property, correct?
That's correct, Mayor.
How many people do you have to hand deliver to?
Mayor, there's only, I think there was 4 different property owners, but 3 that live there along the sides. But what I'm mentioning is actually going out there, dropping something off, and then encouraging people to, if they're not home, to call, set up a time, or discuss so that we can be able to effectively articulate why this action is different than an action in the past. What we're doing, if this moves forward with council, this is not annexing properties, the adjacent property owners, unless they were to come to us and request that. What it'll include is potentially the annexation of this easement and then additional property, which is the next item. And then for any lines that could be extended,
Right.
those are service lines for the property that would be annexed. And so these people, we could work with adjacent property owners to set up a system whereas they could be provided water and wastewater services if they asked for that, but it's not mandating such.
So this easement already exists.
Right,
This is
right.
not creating something, the easement already exists. It was just previously owned by the county.
Right.
They have de-annexed it, so that we can annex it into this city of Lago Vista, and then once we obtain ownership, then we can use it for city functions as opposed to county functions.
Got it.
A question, just to be clear about the road easement. This involves the paved surface, if there is any, and the right-of-way on either side, is that correct?
Mayor, I think it is a paved road, but yeah, so there's actually a couple layers involved with where this is at. So if I don't know about the word paved surface.
It's not paved all the way.
I don't know.
I think it is in some areas, but not the entirety.
I just know that there's an underlayer of this easement,
Right.
which is what we're talking about. And Aaron may know more about the semantics.
So it's partially improved, but the county was very clear that they have never maintained this right of way. And so they wanted to make sure that y'all understood that there could be some maintenance that would be needed to the road.
All right. But my question is it just the road, or is it the standard 10 feet on either side?
No.
So it's a right of way, which includes the road and additional area. I need to look at the document to tell you exactly how wide it is.
That'd probably answer it if I knew what the width of the easement that we're talking about.
There's the map
I think it's in
included,
here.
The map's in there.
but that's what I'm saying, the logistics of how that,
All the degrees in feet.
I was going to tell you the page number in just a second.
It
There's a
says
ton.
50, 50
Yeah.
feet, maybe
think
the
it's a-
length.
There's a few pages.
Yeah.
There it is, there's the map.
When I looked at it, I mean, I know that it describes the different sections of it, but those tended to be kind of linear distances
Right.
as
Yes.
opposed to,
But that's how that road goes.
Looks like page 34 of the packet.
my question is, does it extend to the sides, and if
It's
so,
just
by
that
how
whole
much?
area in the middle. This, so the road and this little area here and this little area on the side.
Which is approximately 35 feet,
Yeah, so,
between 35 and 50, depending on the area.
Yeah,
yeah, so it's just this middle area
yeah.
here.
Okay,
Okay?
I'm good.
Question.
Yes, sir.
The question earlier was, we're not annexing property, we're annexing easement. Aren't we annexing property that's within an easement? In other words, this area that's described, has a legal description that's of an easement, is going to be in the city limits of Lago, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so we're getting property.
Public road easement.
We won't own it.
Well, but that's what
we
it
will-
is.
we will- it will
There's
be
a
in the
difference
city.
between an,
Well, that's what Aaron said.
Right, we won't own it. We will simply, that area will be in the city limits.
city limits, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mayor, what I was saying earlier, I'm not sure if this is what Councilor Robbins was talking about. I was talking about the adjacent properties on the side.
Right.
You know, we're not requesting these individuals to be annexed into the city, so that was.
Right.
All right. Questions, comments? Not, it's open for action.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve resolution number 19-1803.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Hearing none, motion carries. Unanimous. And number 6, discussion and consideration of resolution number 19-1804, a resolution approving the annexation and development agreement between the City of Lago Vista, Texas, and KSW Holdings, LP, and granting the petition for annexation and authorizing staff to set dates, times, and place for public hearings on the proposed annexation of certain property owned by KSW Holdings located at 18206 Lakeshore Point, Lago Vista, Texas, by the city of Lago Vista, Texas, and authorizing and directing the city secretary to publish notice of such public hearing.
Mayor, this item is, coincides with the previous item. It is an annexation request by KSW Holdings, and that property is more specifically known as Nature's Point. This request has been presented before to the city council. Now with the de-annexation by the county of the previous item and the potential annexation by the city, it allows this entity to request the annexation and then to potentially request the development agreement. Now, Mayor, I will say one thing. I apologize, but we may, I've got some concerns about the resolution that we have presented here. Somehow I've completely missed the fact that this is an annexation and development agreement resolution instead of just the annexation request. My concern being the wording of this resolution, if not amended by council, would effectively approve the development agreement. And
So your
so,
recommendation is to amend the proposed motion to just say annexation and strike development agreement.
I was going to kick that back to Aaron for clarify, because I don't want to be wrong, but it happens.
That's a good point of clarification, Mr. Mayor. We do want to approve the, if you so will, the annexation piece and allow us to start the process for the development agreement, not actually approve the final agreement. There are additional steps. Part of that is a requirement that the property owner would provide us a full meets and bounds description, so they're gonna have to get their surveyor out there to do that piece. This would just give us authority to move forward with starting that process. The resolution as written would approve it, and we're not at that point yet.
So we can, Mayor, so we can amend,
The resolution,
By just striking out the development agreement part.
Or no,
you don't want
say the
to,
initiation
right,
of the development agreement.
exactly.
resolution approving the annexation and initiation of the development agreement.
That's correct.
And that's my concern, Mayor. I just, the way we presented it as staff is that this is the start of the annexation process, which is what we intended. However, when I put the words back to here and put development agreement, that's not where we're at. And what caught my attention was the fact that we did not provide you the development agreement from months ago that we've discussed, and council did not make a decision on that. And we just don't want the words to catch it up to say, well, look, you approved it through the resolution, and then we've got that issue. So that would be our recommendation, Mayor, with the blessing of legal.
Okay. I would also like to make note, and I don't know if this has to be put into the motion or not, but because we are amending it, we also need to make sure it says Resolution 19-1804 as opposed to the one in our packet that says 1803.
Mine says 1804.
Mine says 1804.
Mayor, you're correct. So
Am I looking
the
at the
Oh,
wrong?
yeah,
The-
no, yours says, yes.
the staff
correct.
summary shows 1904, like you're saying. The actual resolution has 1803. Again, my error on the numbers. So just if it is approved, Mayor, then read it as presented and then make the change, and that's how we would do it.
Gotcha, okay.
So do you, city manager, do you want us to table this until it gets fixed or amend?
Just a minute.
Mayor, I would prefer if you amend the words and henceforth the resolution so that we can move forward with this public hearing at the same time of the other public hearing. And my reason being is I do not want to create confusion with anyone in the community when we get these two started. I think if we took
Where
it
is
out.
the wording that you're, say again, where you want to amend the
So
rest?
the actual title is the first step. And so we said a resolution approving the annexation and initiation of the development agreement. That's the first part. And then the second part would be,
And that the actual resolution be amended to say 19-1804.
correct.
So you're amending the preamble, but not the wording.
That is correct.
Amending the caption, that's correct.
The caption, yeah. Section 1, the annexation and development agreement, is hereby approved. That's what Section 1 says.
Yeah, so we need to, the same thing we're on in the, what'd you call that, the caption? The caption needs to be changed in section 1 so it matches that wording.
So section 1 should say the annexation and initiate development agreement.
An initiation of a.
Of the development agreement. Correct.
development
Yeah.
agreement.
That's it.
You got to fix Section 1. Yeah,
Both places.
right.
I make a motion to accept Resolution 19-1804, a resolution approving the annexation and initiation of a development agreement between the city of Lago Vista, Texas, and KSW Holdings. Also changing the resolution and section 1 of the resolution to reflect the same thing that I just said,
I'll
And
second.
the caption.
and the caption. Yes.
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Hearing none, motion carries unanimous.
So Mayor, in doing so, just to follow up, I just want to present that back to council again. Once we get those dates set, probably between the mayor and myself, we're going to make contact with these property owners. You will probably get some contact, and we're going to encourage as much advertisement of the public hearing as possible, because this was a very contentious situation previously in the history of our city. So if you think we're being a little excessive or maybe a bit ridiculous, we're going to err on the ridiculous side, especially even with the video now, so that tons of people, even if they're not related to this instance, will have knowledge of it. So
If you can make sure that when you send out the notices to the people that you're talking about, that you send us a copy of what you send out and who's it going to, so I know who's coming my way.
we'll do it.
Okay?
Well, and just for public in general, this
And just
is,
the public in general.
well, I'm just stating for the video, this is the tentative agreement that we tried to enter into, a similar, not the same agreement, but a similar agreement with Mr. Jim Otwell back in 2014 that did not proceed as we had hoped. Yeah. So we want to make sure that everybody out there knows what is going on.
Okay.
All right, number 7. Discussion and possible action regarding recommendation of contract award for the construction of wastewater treatment plant project.
If this one goes quickly, Mayor, maybe in your record for the council meeting.
No, it can't be.
No,
I missed out.
No, you
I
missed.
think both Danny and I missed out on the last meeting.
Eric, you know,
You jinxed us.
what are you trying to do, Eric?
Mayor and council, good evening. The item before you is a contract award for the wastewater treatment plant project. Now, this project was initially planned back in the 2014, 2015, was funded in 2017 via the 2017 bond project. There were 13 different projects in that list. What this project includes is adding a second clarifier. We have one clarifier, you add a second clarifier. So it's basically a phase 1 towards a future expansion. Theoretically, we're not going to add any capacity per TCEQ rules, but in future phases, once we do some additional improvements, then we'll be adding additional capacity. So this project, we had 2 bids. Project went out for bid. So we had 2 bids, and they were both very close bids, very good contractors, very known contractors, Matus and Archer Western. The first bid came at $2.987 million. The second bid at $3,051,000, a little bit of money after that. So after, and we had a bid option to include a mechanical bar screen. And what this mechanical bar screen is, basically when flow comes in, I'll call it clean water. When clean water comes in, it basically automatically grabs anything that's floating so that it doesn't mess up our pump system and things like that. So as soon as it comes in, it grabs all that. The problem that we're having right now is the bar screens that we have is a little bit too big, and it requires a lot of our man hours just basically babysitting it and make sure that we're constantly raking it. So this would help us out. So the project came in substantially more than what the original planned estimate was, and it was an old estimate. And so after some value engineering with design engineer and the contractor, if we do some minor redesign, when I say minor, it's probably about $20,000 worth of redesign work, we would be able to save about $250,000 if we can just move some components. And that's the beauty about this type of bid system. It's not a low bid, it's more of a qualifications-based selection for a contractor. So that gives you the opportunity to that, to where after the bids are open, you still have that opportunity to negotiate with the low bid contractor. Yes, sir.
Is this a design build contract then?
No, sir, it's design, bid build still. Back a few
Well,
years.
no, a design, I shouldn't say no. A design build means they're going to design and build it.
No, sir.
Oh.
We've already designed it. We are
Okay.
redesigning.
And you bid that.
We bid what we designed, and we identified we spent a few weeks identifying what we need to do to bring the cost down. And we were able to identify about $250,000 of things that we could do to redesign and still get what we need to get out
Did
of
both
this.
contractors realize that you were looking for ways to cut it, or just the one contractor?
Legally, you can only do the one contractor. If you cannot find a resolution through him, then you go to the second contractor. But you cannot go back to the first contractor once you, if you decide that the second contractor is still not good enough.
So what you're
I'm
saying
not sure I
is-
understand what happened,
so
or
what you're
that what we
saying is
did
you
was
looked at
what we can do. You went to the low bidder
Yes, sir.
only and asked him to submit a different bid.
No, sir. What we sat down and with the design engineer and the contractor in the room, and looked at what we could do to modify the design, what the city could do to modify the design, to where the contractor would be able to offer a lower
All right, now
cost for
I've got
construction.
the legal question. Can we do it that way? Because I'm not used to seeing that. In other words, I'm used to seeing if both bids come in high, you get to work with all the bidders on a different design. Or after we have selected, then the city can visit with the one.
Yeah, typically the second scenario that you're discussing is what I've seen happen. Once a contractor is chosen, then you can work with them on value engineering, similar to what Eric has explained. Typically, that process happens once you've chosen a
Are
contractor.
we going to get in trouble from the second bidder because he wasn't given an opportunity to value engineer?
No, sir. There is a state statute that was created 2 to 3 years back. A lot of the cities complained because they were always obligated to select a qualified low bid contractor without taking into account anything else. So legislator came back with new legislation that allowed the cities to select contractors based on low bids if they wanted to, or other qualifications, and if they needed to make changes and negotiate
I know
before
what-
awarding, they could still do that.
If you say we're okay, we're okay. I'm not used to this.
Well, here's my question, it's kind of along with Frank. So we started at 2.98, and then we got with that Matus.
Yes.
Mattis, or however you say it.
Mm-hmm.
And between us and them, they said, okay, we can redesign this
Mm-hmm.
and save 251,000.
Yes, sir.
So now we've redesigned it.
Yeah.
Why does Archer Western not get to come in and say, okay, well, based on your redesign, now I can drop it
It's
400,000?
because they've already been selected.
We
Right.
have not selected.
We have
No.
not selected.
No?
Yeah,
They selected the
No.
prime.
No,
contractor
sir.
first.
No,
We select.
We select.
And we have not done that.
Mayor, what happens is actually, we select someone, you approve the contracts.
Right.
So
Okay.
you're approving contracts, we're selecting the contract to present to you. We've already selected who we want as a contractor.
That's what I was talking
The
about.
the council doesn't select a contractor, they approve contracts for work. So
okay.
that's the process that Eric's going.
Yeah.
And what happens is, the change here is not between the city and Mataus Construction. It's actually with engineering, and then you go back to Mataus to see if they'll accept the changes that we make in the engineering. That's the difference of how this system works.
Right.
And the value there, one of the things that the legislature pointed out is, just like the mayor's saying, you present these contracts to councils, then you go back and try to navigate the system to cut the cost down.
Right.
And that person says no, then we go back to the second contractor and we try to negotiate it and bring that contract back to the council. The process was established to basically expedite a system
Yeah.
in many states.
This is an interesting conversation now, because I'm not used to this. And so if it's legal, it's legal. But what you just said, Josh, is not what I'm used to. Because the council is given the people that bid. And so we're selecting a contractor, given the two, and the contract with him.
But no, but he's saying that's not what we're doing, because.
Well, why is the council then given
Because
the
it-
two bids
because
if the staff has already selected who's gonna build it?
They're being nice to show us how they got to the situation that they got to.
That's
That-
what I'm not used to. Normally, the staff, normally councils get the opportunity to select based on price and quality, if you will, and you have terms of a contract. That's what I'm used
I
to.
understand this from staff, this is a recommendation, because council can make a motion that we approve Archer Western.
I agree with you, Mayor. I think
And
we,
then does that,
yeah.
and does that throw out the $251,000 in savings? Because
Right. See, that one, if you do that, then we won't be able to go back to the first contractor. You definitely have the right to do that, sir.
But if we did that, we would pay 3.05 instead of 2.73.
Correct.
Well, Mayor, not
Or we'd
necessarily.
have to go back and negotiate and see if they would take the redesign with.
That's right. We would sit at the table, the same with them, engineering wise, look at the specs, see what type of plan they come back with, and then effectively be able to approve that contract.
But even at that, if they
But it wasn't actually.
didn't want to do that, there would be nothing to force them to do that. And what you're telling us, Eric, is that we couldn't then go back to the other company
To the other company.
to get it
That
done.
is correct.
And they would still be 70, what did I do?
74.
74,000 more just on their base bid than what we've got with
Right.
the other company.
Just for Aaron is Texas Local Government Code, Chapter 2269.
So we know.
Yeah, but that's
because y'all are
two
rec-
different things.
Because y'all are recommending this, we know that
The-
Matus is good with the redesign and.
Right.
And stuff.
The-
but we
the-
don't
The,
know-
the issue, my opinion is, the issue with the state legislature, and they did the right thing, because cities were getting stuck in various ways, because the only way they felt like they could apply, they could judge which contractor, not the contract, was based only or principally on the low bid. And so the legislation gave us an opportunity to use other criteria than only the price for the contractor. to choose the contractor.
My question is, do you know either one of these contractors?
No,
Why would you choose Archer over the other
I
one?
wouldn't. What I would do, two things. Thank you for asking.
Okay.
And I got a question to see if I do too. One, I would go back to both of them and give them the re-engineered stuff, essentially what the mayor suggested, and give them both of them the opportunity to re-engineer and rebid and give us another bid number for both of them. And I think that's fair. Whether that's legal or not, that's a legal question, but I think that's the right way to do it. The other issue I've got is the question is how come we only got two? Because usually I'd like to have at least three. And
I'll answer the second question. We only get two because people don't want to bid on projects, sometimes for reason like this, because we don't take
Right.
action and we delay it and we rebid it again. And that's a challenge we get. You're going to see this on another project that we get, and we've been talking about this for at least the year and a half that we've been here. The bids come high, we only get a few bids, we get frustrated, we get a higher amount. Once again, it comes higher. When this was engineered potentially 2 years ago, maybe the value was right, but now we're 2 years
Yeah.
out, plus or minus.
What's the 2-year-old number?
That's what it was engineered originally. So
Well,
I'm
no.
assuming
What was
that-
what was our original estimate?
2.34.
2.347.
Yeah. And it could have even been a little bit
Yeah.
longer than 2 years ago when it was engineered with the estimate, potentially, but.
Yeah.
So did Matus, or did they make two bids, or?
They made one bid. There was a bid option for mechanical bar screen. And what bid option means is that the city can choose to award it or choose not to award it.
Okay, well, just, because the way it reads, it says determine Matus offered the best value, but then it says the other two,
Oh, my apologies.
the other two
It
are
is a
Matus
mistake.
and Archer. So to me, that makes it sound like there was three, and
It is a
Matus
mistake.
made two of them.
There's only two. And as far as the qualifications of these two contractors, they are both of them fantastic, and they know what they're doing when it comes to water and wastewater infrastructure. So it came down to the price. The price was the low hang or the bottom factor that we've decided to negotiate with the first one. And the negotiation process is outlined in the bid documents. So how that happens, it's all outlined. So we can't say we have to take it to council to select who we're going to negotiate with when it's outlined differently in the bid documents. So that's why that happened the way it had happened.
Okay. So the new bid of 2.73 still includes the 255,000 for the alternate bar screen?
It does not. We were able to, and I did not, my apologies, I did not articulate that in here. This has so much room in there to where you can type. We think we're able to, if we move that aside and we try to do a portion of it ourselves without a general contractor, but just do it with the material supplier, we think we can bring that cost down by 20 or 30%.
Okay.
And we'd like to do that separately from this project.
So basically, the savings from the value engineering is basically we eliminated the mechanical bar screen.
No, sir, my apologies. That, with the value engineering, if you get 2.987 plus $255,000 is well over 3 million.
Okay.
So if you include the
So the
255,000,
2.9 does not include
it does not
an
include.
added bid alternate?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
All
And-
right, so the 840,000 from water treatment plant number one,
Water plan or water plan recommendations, number one. It's not a water treatment plan, but
okay, water plant number one recommendation. Is that money available to be transferred?
that we have available in there about 1.2 million of unused funds that could be used to be for
But
this
it's
project.
not earmarked, says it has to be,
These, right, you can move this is within the same project group. It was earmarked for one of these projects. Originally, it was earmarked for a tank project. But after this project was through the design process, staff found a way to rehab this tank at a much lower cost and not needed to replace at all. It's a fairly new tank. Originally, there was a thought that it was installed improperly and it was leaking. However, through some rehab work and some testing, we're able to make that work and save the $1.2 million it was going to cost us.
So that this is bond money,
Yes, sir.
and the bond document probably said something like water and wastewater, funds for water and wastewater improvements. It did not specify the particular place that it was going.
Yes and no. The way this bond was written, it's kind of a weird way to do it is the bond was written in such a way that there you have 13 projects. And then the money, if you're not using it on one project, you have to use it on one of the 13 projects in that list. So it was a little bit more specific than just say general water or wastewater.
But this project
improvements.
was listed in one of those
Yes, sir.
13? Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha. Okay.
I know we earmarked two different bond sales. We earmarked, or at least the last one, I don't know if it's two, but at least the last one, we earmarked it. I want to make sure that we're not.
And correct me if I'm wrong,
Yes, sir.
the money that's sitting there, what'd you say, 1.2 million? If we don't use it for one of these 13 projects, it's not really available for us to use on anything else.
It would be unless all 13 projects were completed. So if all the 13 projects were completed and you had money left over, then yes. But some of these projects may take a little bit longer.
A little bit longer. All right.
All right, so doing my math. Okay, with the project's 2.736. Okay, it's what the contractual amount. But if I add our available funding of 2.347 and 840 from water plant number one recommendation, I'm looking at 3.127.
Okay.
That's almost 500,000 more than the contract.
Yes.
Why are we recommending approval of $500,000 more than what the contract calls for?
Oh, no, we are not recommending. We're only recommending the exact amount for the contract. We are only saying on this line item to transfer from this account to this account so we can use it for other associated items, but not to the contractor.
The additional 450,000?
Yes, we have other obligations that are associated to this contract, but not awarded necessarily to the contractor himself.
Okay, so the
Yeah,
SCADA, electrical, site work.
Right.
Okay, so that, okay. I see that now.
I was about to brag to Roy that my subject introduction is barely a sentence, whereas his are.
Okay. Is this his or yours?
No, this is mine. It
Okay,
was,
'cause yours is not.
was a silly joke.
All right, any further questions? Nope.
Mr. Mayor,
It's open for action.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the contract with, is it
Matus.
Matus Construction.
And if I may, and transfer $840,000 from Water Plant One recommendations, please.
All right. And transfer the $840,000 from the CIP bond project number 132, WP number 1.
Thank you.
Second.
You can give it to one of those two.
Give it to Arch.
No, I'll second.
Give it to Arch.
Me. Give it to Don. All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay.
Nay.
Thank you, council.
Motion carries 5-1. I gotta count how many people I have here.
Mayor, one thing we will do, Eric will be contacting and work on the agreement, but we'll give Aaron time to confirm that things are as they need to be, and then before we sign off and make final action on it.
The process that Eric explained is correct, assuming that the bid documents laid out that the staff had been delegated the authority to make the choice. He's correct that the statute, as long as he was given or staff was given the authority to make the choice, then the only thing that would come to you would be the contract itself, which is what you had to consider. So the process, as he laid it out, happened the way that Councilmember Robbins was thinking, but it doesn't happen at the council level. It happens at the staff level because it's been delegated to them under this statute.
It's just confusing when
you see
the information from Archer should have probably never even been in this.
Yeah, that,
We should have just been considering that contract without any of the Archer Western information.
Correct.
It's just confusing. All right, thank you. Consent agenda.
What's the statute again?
it's government code, 11, is it 1169? No, 2269.
11.
Sorry, Texas Government Code, Section 22.69, 2269.58.
Of the LGC?
No, not local government code, just the government code.
Texas Government Code.
This is,
Okay, gotcha.
this is a
Thanks.
procurement
Got it.
statute.
Thanks. Thank you.
It's best value, 2269.56.
Consent agenda. All matters listed under consent agenda are to be considered routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion. There will not be separate discussion on these items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. We are considering number 8, approval of the June 6th, 2019 council meeting minutes.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Second it.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Hearing none, consent agenda is approved unanimous. Discussion item, city managers' reports.
Mayor, I have a couple items. You already mentioned July 4th event coming up. Do want to encourage city council that if you're going to be in town, we'd love to have you in the parade. If you want us to line up vehicles, let us know. If you want to drive a golf cart, whatever that may be, if you're going to be there, let me know. We'll make sure that we get you candy or something else that you can throw out. We want people to like you, whatever it takes. We're looking for a special toy for the mayor for the parade, so there's only one.
I have
Hard candy, hard
I have
candy.
boxes of beads that have already been donated.
We want you to have that as well,
I was
so
told I could not do Mardi Gras style, but I do have.
please keep your shirt on, Mayor.
I
So
thought you were saying beers, Mr. Mayor.
he may throw out beer, there's no telling, it's gonna be a party. So anyway, let me
No, I
know.
have to go to work that day.
So we can get you hooked up. Second thing is, on Monday, this coming Monday, which is the 24th, the mayor, Councilor Weatherly, and I will be attending the Municipal League Legislative Update. We get there at 7:30, it ends at 1:30. In that time, we're supposed to go over 300 legislative actions that pertain to local government. So we'll have, I think that's 5 hours, 6 hours of just pure fun.
50 per hour.
And so.
1 minute.
Yeah, what we want to do is we want to get that information. My assumption is TML is going to give us a wonderful handout that we're going to bring back. We're going to bring that back and we want to disseminate that to our committees so that everyone understands. Then at the July 18th meeting, we plan to give you an update on the items that pertain to us the most. So we're going to give you a paraphrase. We got 3 of us, so hopefully if one of us falls asleep, the other 2 can take pretty good notes. Sandra already mentioned the Texas Municipal League Conference in San Antonio. We do hope that all council can attend. It's a really good training, really close to us, so there's a great value there. And then the last comment is for everyone to make sure that you check out the website and review the financial statements. We get a lot of questions from people about different operations and expenditures. If you can check the financial statements online, you go to Documents, Finance, and then Monthly Financial. This is the May financial statement. You'll be able to see the status of where we're at within our fiscal year. And I think there's some value there. So hopefully people can look at the difference between general fund, utility fund, airport, golf course fund, and capital projects to follow I'll say the success and the challenges that the city goes through in trying to get all these projects completed. This one project that Eric just presented to the council, it's going to be nice to knock off all of these CIP projects so that when we look at our financial sheet, page 1, you don't have 12 items there with a couple $1 million in each, even though we have $17 million in cash sitting in a bank right now. Some of those dollars are earmarked for specific projects. So just like this one, $2.7 million. If we can take that off the books, even though it's cash out of the account, we want to have a successfully completed project. The more projects we do means we're building our city for the future. So check it out. I encourage anyone that has any questions about them to just give me a call. Citizens want to look at it, I'll gladly go over that document with them so we can answer any questions. That's all I have, Mayor.
And along those lines, I know staff is off tomorrow, but I will probably be in here tomorrow doing my webcast. And one of my webcasts will include the financial update, and I hope I can explain that so that people know what I'm talking about. If not, at least they'll have questions that they can bring to us. All right, future meetings. Consider schedule and items for future council meetings.
Well, we already have the Draper on there.
And then we'll add TML update, if you don't mind, please, Sandra.
And I'll have the Scenic City.
Scenic
results.
City.
And we will do some review on other programs like was presented to us tonight, and
So we'll have
if
National
there's
League of
any- If there's
Cities.
any options, then we'll need to just see if we want to review them or go with the one that was presented.
I'm trying to remember the date of the comp plan subcommittee. Wasn't that supposed to come to us on the 18th?
I think it was coming to us on the 18th.
Yeah, because PNC's getting it this month, and then,
Correct.
yeah, so
Yeah.
that's be one of the things.
So that'll be the Comprehensive Plan Subcommittee report, Sandra.
Report, yeah.
I want to back up, if I may, to items of community interest. Do I need to close this, or can I just go back to it at this point? I just wanted to express all the thanks to people in the community that came out to the ribbon cutting ceremony at Arkansas Bend State Park last Saturday. If you have not had the opportunity to go check out what they have done, please do so. It is an amazing park with 2 public boat ramps. And I know for everybody that is not a member of the POA, the fact that we now have 2 public boat ramps open is wonderful. You just can't imagine what it means to this side of the lake. And I'm sorry, it's not a future meeting, but it just popped in my head. Executive session. Number 11, reconvene in the closed executive session under agenda item 1 as needed. Do we have anything?
No.
All right. With that note, I declare our meeting closed at 8 p.m. Might be a record, but I'm not sure.
Well, it'd be a Tidwell record, not a Mayor Pro Tem record. There's a difference. We don't want to put those in the same category.
Is he still faster than me?
Well, he's ridiculous.
Pretty quick.
When Eric's